What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time joining the show, welcome to the show. Hope you got fat. Hope you got fat yesterday. Did you get all fatty-patty? Huh? You get all swollen on that tryptophan? Fall asleep watching the big game with the boys? Drink too many beers? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you're taking this time to relax, cure that hangover with some good old-fashioned whiskey ginger. My guest today, love this dude, Taran Killam. How funny, how cool, how smooth, big whiskey guy. Love this dude. Check him out. Check me out. Check it out, dude. I'm going to be in Boston. I'm going to be in Boston for New Year's Eve and New Year's Eve. If you don't come, I'm going to break your legs. Come see me. I got a bunch of shows up. I got 3 right now. AndrewSantino.com. Boston, come see your boy. AndrewSantino.com. Tell a friend. Tell everyone you know that lives in the area. New Year's Eve and New Year's Eve. You got a lot of options. AndrewSantino.com. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whiskey, 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 whiskey.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it. Once again today, it is the first time, hopefully not the last time, with Taran Killam. Taran?
Andrew, I like you so much.
Cheers, man. That's all,
Cheers.
Say no more. That's the end of the episode right there. That's all I need to know.
I hope this is an hour of just people watching two guys become friends.
Very good friends is what I hope. Also, you walked in, woof. Yeah. Delicious.
I mean, just
delicious.
The best.
The best. You walked in and you said to me, I started a whiskey brand this summer.
No. Even less impressive, but more informative. I made a whiskey this summer for my own private use. I have 2 50-gallon barrels aging on a property that my wife and I own in Canada.
Whoa.
I did a week-long course, and I sort of asked, hey, I'm excited about that. I'm fat. I love whiskey.
Yeah.
They said, all right, we got to call this number. No, but I said, I want to take your distilling course that you have. I'm also interested in purchasing the batch, if that's something you would consider.
Right.
And they're a smaller distillery, so they're like, yeah, we think so. Well, we can help you out with that. And
wow.
and we had to do it in I bought 500, 3-liter bottles or whatever, right? But we did the mash. They showed me how to strip still, how to column still, the whole process. They showed us how they make their neutral spirits. I went all in. I know more now about alcohol than I ever thought I would in my life, because I didn't start drinking till I was about 30 years old.
Why?
I didn't like the taste. I have a sweet tooth.
In the church?
I didn't. I didn't. Around a lot. So I like a majority of my developmental years were in Big Bear, California.
Cool.
A lot of churches up there. A lot of faith.
Yeah.
No culture.
Yeah.
or minimal culture. I think mostly it was about control. Like I didn't like the idea of not being in control of my own facilities.
Yeah.
But it was also a taste thing where I just I'd rather have a Coca-Cola than any of these foul tasting things. Cut to one of the more stressful jobs I've ever had. Drove me to drink.
You're talking about one of your animated jobs that you did, I assume,
I'm talking
right?
about Wild and Out.
Yeah, Wild and Out, dude. So good.
Stressful. You got to come up with it on the spot.
You got to be
top
wild
of the
right
dome.
on the spot.
Top of the dome.
You got to be wild and out.
No, I got really sick working in New York, so congested. And someone I was working with was like, because you don't drink, you should try some whiskey. You should try just a bourbon or whatever, and it'll probably knock you out. And they were so right. It saved my life. And it was the first time that I had ingested alcohol with a functional purpose. And then, so that kind of opened the door. I got married when I was 30. We went on a honeymoon that April. And we went to a in the Caribbean, a small island, this very nice resort. And my wife was like, "Are you going to do it? If ever you are going to really go for it, this is the place to do it. True. You're safe, if you swim out, you'll wash away and become a memory." No, but she's like, "Do it." So I would have probably 2 Jack and Cokes, maybe 3 if I was pushing. I'm just not feeling it. Yeah. I don't understand going past this limit. Our third night there, she says to the bartender, make me your favorite thing to make, like a fun thing that nobody ever orders. And he made her a mudslide.
Ooh, okay.
And so if you've learned any little bit about my history, my flavor profile, sweets, sugar, and it's just a chocolate milkshake.
Yeah.
I'd already probably had 2 or so Jack and Cokes and then had 3 mudslides.
Oh, boy.
And that was the first time where I felt the true effects.
Right.
And it was like me and my new wife and me going like, look where we are. Look at how far we've come. Look at our life. And I learned that I'm a very emotional drunk and and got up to go to the bathroom and did the wobble. And that was the beginning of the end.
But emotional in a good way. It's better than the Jekyll Hyde thing where it's like angry. I get sentiment. I get like really nostalgic. I'll be like, remember when we used to hang out at it? And people are like, dude, shut up. We told the story like 100 times. I'd rather be that guy than the guy that's like, shut up. That's trying to fight the whole bar.
For sure.
By the way, is that why your kid's name is Mudslide? Is that? Wow,
exactly.
that makes perfect sense. I was like, why would he name his child Mudslide?
Yeah.
But it's cool, man.
They bring me joy.
Okay, I don't want to harp on it too much, even though we don't know each other that well at all. Well, I know you in a parasocial way, right? That's what's so funny is like I know
we have a lot of mutuals.
Yeah, we have a lot of mutual friends.
Yes.
And that show that will not be named.
We can name it.
No, but it did a lot of things. It did a lot of things to a lot of different people, and I've heard I've had so many friends be a part of the institution.
Yes.
So many people that have come and gone through my life. Did you? I tested Pete's year. Pete Davidson's year.
Okay.
You were just
on the show.
You were just. Were you still on, or were you leaving?
No, when Pete came on, I feel like Pete and I did maybe 2 seasons together.
1 or 2. Okay, that's
one
right.
or 2 seasons together. Yeah.
But I was over there, and the emotions that people had about that place was always so wild to me. So when I would go back to visit, it felt kind of nice because there was no pressure for me to just come hang, and I felt the you guys of it. Like I felt Beck and Kyle, and it was so interesting to like see it from my outside, not gotten in.
It's a very complicated thing. Because there's nothing like it, and I do find like you spend some time away from it, and you start to get a little more perspective and appreciate the highs and try to forget about the lows a little bit more. It's also like probably the number one thing I've learned speaking about it publicly is that it is a beloved institution.
Yeah.
That for anybody of our generation is older than us, and no one really wants to hear you complain about it. Like in the way where you go like you won't understand it, but it's also like but like if that's your worst problem, we should all be so lucky.
True.
And I'm much more in that place. Like I just had dinner with a couple of people who left recently, and it was so healthy for me to kind of sit and see the freshness of. I think so much of it is just stamina, right? Of just like it just is where it's 6 days a week, and it's the hardest, most demanding, most judgmental job that you worship, right? Like my new epiphany is that for a lot of my life, I was like probably I think arrogant in a healthy way, in that I was like, I went through high school and college and early industry kind of not caring what people thought of me, kind of going like, no, I'm good and I'm going to be good and I deserve. And working there really was the first time where I cared so much what the people around me thought of me. That in some ways it started to cripple me a little bit or get me in my head in a way that I wasn't used to. And I think like people have said before, it kind of can bring out the worst in you, and that is true. But if you are lucky enough to be on it, I worked on the show for 6 years. Everything that comes from now on is because of it. And I'm very aware of that. And so that dinner with the recent graduates was like, oh, I remember. Oh, yeah. But I've now almost been off the show for as long as I was on it. So it's like a breakup where they say like you need half the time of the relationship to fully get over that. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Or maybe I just made that up.
Yeah, you. That's a you thing, but that's great. I do like that. I'm going to take that with me.
Yeah. So will forever be my dream job.
Yeah.
Like it was my golden ticket from the time. I always loved the show my whole life, but I did MadTV with Bobby Lee.
I know.
We got hired together. And after doing that, it became much more attainable kind of to me.
Yeah.
And I dedicated a lot of focus and energy and work and discipline towards that goal and achieved it. And that is still
monumental.
surreal to me. It's
Yeah.
surreal.
Well, there's only a handful of people that did. There's only 2 cast members or 3 that did MadTV and SNL. Isn't that true?
I only think it's 2 of us. Yeah, me and Jeff Richards.
Yeah, you and Jeff. Yeah, that's so weird, man.
It was
because you would assume that they might steal people over the years. Like in your mind, you're like, well, they could probably steal a few people. But
there's at least 2.5 in it. Like Peel was hired.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
And Mad didn't let him out of his contract, and it tanked his career.
where are you at now, Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think he's doing right now, dude? He's just scrounging for pennies somewhere in a fountain in a mall. Sad guy, dude. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Just looking at something and going, I like that shade of purple, and then turning it into one of the most striking, memorable, cinematic tableaus we've ever
doing
seen.
pretty good.
You didn't.
He's doing pretty good. But you're doing really good, dude.
very kind.
You're constantly, you have your fingers in something.
Yeah.
And that's impressive because also when you get out of SNL, some people need like I feel like a lot of people are like, they're confused or they're, I don't know. They just don't know what they want the next thing to be.
Sure.
And like I said, we have friends that I've seen do that thing where they're like, I don't fucking know what I want to do, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little overwhelmed from that, and I'm going to go to the mountains for a year, which I know guys that did that. So it's like, it's nice that you came out of the gate running anyway. It's not like you let it you went right on a sitcom right away.
Sort of, yeah. I got to do Hamilton for like the year after I got off the show, which was the best kind of healthiest rebound job.
Yeah.
And then when I came out here, we did Single Parents for 2 seasons, which was like the sweetest, best gig I've ever had.
Those
Like
are good
I loved it.
gigs.
I loved that gig so much. And
the
I've been very lucky.
Money isn't bad.
Money pads it pads any future creative choices for a little bit.
That's right. That's right. Now you can kind of pick, do
You
whatever
can buy
you want.
you can buy barrels of
That's
whiskey
right.
to just
and land in
sit
Canada.
on for years. Yeah.
Where in Canada? Can you say?
BC. Yeah. BC. Like 3 hours north of Vancouver.
I love British Columbia.
Same. I married a
so
BC
nice.
girl. So that's
she's
kind
from
of
up there.
how, yeah.
I love it up there, man. Although every time I go to Vancouver, I'm like, this city's amazing. And then I get online and I'm like, is that a $8 million apartment in Vancouver?
Yeah.
I didn't know for years it was like that. I thought it was expensive, but
Yes.
it's like New York.
It's comparable, if not slightly more competitive, for many reasons. If you like do research, Vancouver's always voted in the top 5 cities globally to live, like ideal places to live. There's also a big transference of Chinese money that comes over. A lot
Same
of
down
Chinese
here,
money.
but I mean way more up there.
Yeah, in that they kind of try to do the balance of regulations, and that like, yes, we like money, and this is good for us in some ways, but what will happen is that because of the communist government, successful Chinese citizens will come to Vancouver, buy an $8 million apartment, and let it sit as an investment.
No one- there's places where somebody told me people weren't living in half of the building, but it was already bought.
Yes, that's a thing.
Creepy to me.
It's an interesting thing.
Well, it is one of the most livable places. What's the number one place to die in the world? That's what I kind of want to know.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think that would be?
To die.
Yeah.
Number one
place to die.
I feel like an icier place, like a Norway, right, or something a Viking-y,
I was gonna say Reykjavik.
icebergy.
I was gonna say Iceland.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we nailed it.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
We did it. We'll
That's
move on. That's it. We know exactly where you should be dying.
Yeah.
You're born and raised here. Are you going to live
Yeah.
in California, you think, for the rest of your life?
Oh, what an interesting question. I have 2 daughters who are in school here now, and that really dictates a lot of our life right now.
You can always get rid of them, though.
Yeah?
You can leave them somewhere. I have friends that have left kids all over the country. Huh. Yeah. You just pick up and move on. It's kind of strange. There's this whole like, Daddy, where you going? Mommy, where you been? And you kind of just take off.
I've been cursed with 2 children I like.
Oh, you love them?
So, yeah,
Stinks.
unconditionally, unfortunately.
That stinks, man.
When they're gone out of the house or by any other means
Right.
that you may help me with off camera, I think we could spend a lot more time in BC. I know we'd like to get back to New York.
Yeah.
Both my wife and I got to do some Broadway theater when we were there and fell in love. That was the dream before the dream in many ways. So we don't know. But London, I'd like to
Yeah.
live in London.
That would be cool.
I like London a lot.
I love London.
Yeah.
I'm going there at the beginning of the year just to go.
Yeah.
And people were like, "You're gonna go in January?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, I grew up
You
in
grew
Chicago.
up in cold. Yeah.
Yeah, a nightmare city of cold.
Yeah.
So then when I went out west, I was like, I sometimes like the bitter, absolute
Yeah.
nonsense cold. It's kind of fun. When
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
somebody goes, "Why would you go there then?" It's like, because I don't have to live in it. I just get to go touch it for a while and then go back home.
It's novel. It's also like a city, you know, if Chicago is 250 years old, this is like
250 million years old.
1200. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's
1200
insane.
years old.
It's beautiful, and I also want my places like London to be cold and wet when I go into a pub to get annihilated drunk. That's what I want it to
Fair.
be. Dreary,
Fair and
wet.
wise.
Yes,
That's wise.
You don't like when you walk out of a bar in LA and it's sunny. It's boring.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I messed up.
Am I on a TV show? I feel like
Yeah.
it's like I'm being filmed
Yeah.
at all times. I like it to feel like I come out of a bar at night and it's cold and wet. New York has that a lot too. When I get out of bars, out of like basement
Yes.
bars, you're like, oh, this is great.
Those were some of like the most meditative, like pristine moments were like a long night and you're like, I don't know if I'll ever be funny again or if I ever was funny.
Yeah.
But it's, 3:45, 4 in the morning and just the streets are covered in snow and it's just you and you're, in like a taxi and you're like, this is the most magical place in the world.
It is.
Yeah.
No, New York truly is one of those spots where I do want to move there, but I'm afraid if I do, I'll disappear. Like I will just get lost in the sauce and I'll be bar hopping all night pretending to be like I'm writing something. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
drinking and meeting up with people way too much. That city can pull you into just having fun all of the time.
Yes.
Unless you have a high pressure job where you have to work 6 days a week and then
Yeah.
Then
That's the balance.
Yeah, that's the balance of all of it. What do you think was I'm glad you said that honestly about saying I don't know if I'll be funny again. We've all had these moments of like we've all done where you're like, I'm not funny, this isn't funny, and this is annoying. And that's not true, but what you're saying to yourself is like, I'm sick of whatever I'm ideating. It's not, I don't like any of this shit. Of course, a lot of it's probably still funny.
Yeah.
But you're like, it's yucky about whatever is spinning in my mind these weeks or months or whatever. Was there a time when the opposite happened, right? When it was like, you wrote something for the show or something else you did where you're like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to fucking do.
Oh, that's interesting. Like,
is there a moment? And the reason I ask that is because, having to come up with your own shit for that show in particular makes you it broadens your comedy experience that you already had prior to the show. But then when you come out of the show, have there been projects that you've worked on or even on there that you're like, oh, dude, this is my thing?
Yes. I think the best answer to that question, I have like an example of it, and it's equal parts like, oh, I am capable, and oh yeah, this can be joyous and easy and fun.
Yeah.
But there's also like a maddening sensation to that, where like the thing that you worked on for maybe sometimes like 2 weeks, and you pitch it and you're like, no, it doesn't, and you tweak it and you go, just never sees the light of day, and people are like, why do you keep pitching? Why do you believe in this?
Yeah.
And then the inverse of that is like I did McConaughey after the Oscars on Update, right? And it was right after True Detective season 1, and I'd watched all of that, and his thank you acceptance speech was just nonsense of metaphors, and me and Mikey Day, like I kind of pitched him the thing, and he's like, absolutely. And I think I honestly like improvised for 25 minutes. We wrote down most of that. He added like 5 or 6 jokes, and it was done. And that's pretty much what went on air.
On air. Oh,
and
wow.
you're just like, and we enjoyed it, and we laughed, and we're like, this is ridiculous, so silly. And it just caught that thing. Like, it is the thing that I both love and like at times start to surrender on, which is like, when it's funny, it's funny.
Yep.
When you're in it and you just can't help but laugh, it's just there. As subjective as comedy is, sometimes you step just slightly closer to objectivity, where you're like, "That's really funny and silly," and everybody in this room
would be
is
like, "That's
enjoying
very
it.
funny."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And that was well received, and that was fun to perform. Like, it was so fun to perform.
Yeah.
And it was like, that took half an hour, and it made good TV.
That's nuts.
And everything else I've put like my heart and soul into is like placed at the bottom of the stack and trash and stuff, So it's maddening. There's absolutely moments where you are rebitten by the bug, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Where you go like, oh yeah, this.
Right.
And I think for me in those moments, I'd be curious to hear your answer too. For me, those moments of like, I'm not funny again. Also now mixing in as I age of like, what's the point? Like to what means?
Right.
It's for that thrill of just of the presence of discovery and enjoyment of comedy. I don't know that there is an art form I love more than that.
It's very well said. And also, what you said is I haven't really articulated, but when you said it, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. Sometimes the thing you make in the shortest amount of time, for some reason, it's so authentically you comedically, your brain hasn't had enough time to analyze, dissect, and ruin it. You know what I mean? Like
do.
You didn't give your comedy mind enough time to be like, no, fuck this, and go to town on it. And I just shot a Netflix special, and I, the editor was like, hey man, like, got to give your first round. Like, let's go. And I was sitting for a week because I just had so much anxiety about it. And I literally would go home, set up my computer, make coffee, do the thing, get ready. And then the moment I would go to look at it, I was like, I'm going to go play with the dog. And I would go play with the dog in the backyard for an hour.
Yes.
Like a loser. And then I'd find something else to fix. And then my computer would die eventually. And I go, well, I got to charge it. I'm not going to be on it while it's charging. I'm going to put it in the... So I found ways to just procrastinate. And then finally, my wife was like, come on, dude. Like, you really should. Like, take a night. Let's do the thing. And I admitted, I was like, I need your help. I just need you to like be there right near me because I loathe watching my shit. Yeah. It's just hard. It's just weird to do because you nitpick it. You're like, why do you look like that, you dummy? You look like it. Like whenever you watch back something, don't you just go, you look so stupid?
Everything.
Right there.
And the thing I'm looking at and criticizing is not helpful to making it better either.
It never is.
Yeah.
No, it's just nitpicky. So anyway, like you said, it was funny, but I had put two jokes in, or two tags I had put in the special that I had wrote literally waiting for the show to begin. I was in the dressing room and I was going through the list and going over, and I just, for some reason, it was like, oh, I really like that. And I wrote that down, and then the second one came again. It was almost like consecutive. And I was like, well, I'll just try it on the first show. If it's trash, I won't do it for the second show. And it was in the first show and it did great, and we're keeping it. And I was like, that's just what it is. I was so, when I wrote it, I was like, oh, that's really funny. And it made me laugh, and I didn't try to ruin it. Yeah. And once we put it out, it was done, thank God, because I didn't have time to keep trying. And yeah, those moments are what make you go, oh man, that's okay. Yeah. This is great. I know what I love. I love that thing. I don't love the playing surgery on comedy.
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by BetterHelp. Guys, I've spoken pretty openly on this show about mental health help and mental health awareness. I do believe in it very much. BetterHelp has been great for me. I started it over the pandemic. I've tried a million different kinds of therapy, different versions of it, but BetterHelp is incredible. We can only control so much in our daily lives, and sometimes we're not working on the old noodle because life doesn't come with a user manual. So if it's not working out for you, it's okay that you feel kind of stuck in a rut, one of those dreams where you can't punch or can't run or can't swim. BetterHelp is there to help you. They've connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient, accessible from anywhere, and it's 100% done online. That's, again, a big push for me is, listen, you can do it from the comfort of your own home. You don't got to get out of the bathtub. You can do it in the shower. Just don't get the phone too wet. You can do it in your backyard, in your front yard, on your roof, outside. Please be safe while you do it. But anywhere you want to be connected to the web or nets, you can talk to somebody, and it's super helpful. And they're the world's largest therapy service. BetterHelp has matched over 3 million people, like I said, professional licensed therapists, and they're vetted. They're available 100% online. It's affordable. All you got to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to match with the therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist at any time. Couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/whiskey. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/whiskey. Bespoke Post. I've talked about these cats for a while now. That box of awesome that they send out is exactly that. You can gear up for the fall with Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have box of awesome collections. They partner with small businesses, which I love, and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every single month. No matter what you got going on, Box of Awesome has got you covered. Camping gear essentials, travel. They got autumn cocktail kits, which they sent to me. Thank you, Bespoke Post. That Box of Awesome is awesome. To get started, just take the quiz. Go to boxofawesome.com. Your answers are going to help them pick the right Box of Awesome that's fit for you. They release a new box every single month across a ton of different categories. Each box they value at $70, but you only pay a fraction of that price with each box. You're supporting small businesses, so do the right thing. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small and up-and-coming brand. I myself have gotten a few different boxes from them over the time. They first sent me the cask. That was the first one. It was barrel handcrafted American white oak. It's been charged to create a smokier cocktail, which you can use right at your house. But they just sent me the Frontier. That was the newest one I got. It's a pocket knife that was developed in 1980, the good old back in the old days. If it's good enough for naval officers, it's probably good enough for you. They also got the Carnivore, which is the barbecue American rub, and much, much more. Small, little, beautiful trinkets, collectibles, usables. So, if you're interested in this, get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code WHISKEY at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com. Code is WHISKEY for 20% off your first box. Boxofawesome.com. Code WHISKEY.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Right.
Which is,
but is so important for, so much of my background is from improv and from sketch and never stand. Like, I don't have the courage, quite honestly, to do stand up.
I think you can do just fine.
Just in that, there seems you in the same way that maybe you're defending yourself by going like, I'm going to distract and play with the dog. I'm going to do the things so that I don't dig in and truly have to criticize. Improv has that built-in protectiveness. You know what I mean? Where you're like, it was never supposed to be good. We didn't even plan a single word of it.
You wanted this to be funny? You're an idiot.
Exactly. And anything you liked, I'm a genius and just thought of it. And I'm a natural, funny person. I think that there is something to the DNA of that. Not that there. I also think that there is a skill set required and a set of tools for improv, but so much of stand-up and stand-up that I respect is surgical, and then the extra added thing of making it be like, no, what? It's not surgical. This is, I'm talking to you. Is it's an art form that I love, that I am in awe of. Yeah. And yet don't feel the pull to it. The only times it happens are only the worst part of my ego going like, well, at least I could control it and monetize it and travel around and do the thing. And the people who are good at it that I respect have an extra layer of like, no, it is my art form, It
is, for sure. It is. It's also, that's the funny balance. It's also fart jokes. Do you know what I mean? You're like, this is art. And you're like, well, it's penis fart art. But it is art, but it's
love that
wacky
art.
Bullshit. I mean,
that's...
Did you, growing up as a kid in LA, did you ever get into because your parents are artists, right? So like, did you ever go to like a comedy club when you were a kid? Did you ever get to see the world?
Not as a kid, no. Like stand-up kind of came, like all of comedy came backwards to me. Like when Bobby, like I auditioned for MadTV as like a funny actor who was a good mimic. And then when it was in TV Guide and it's like comedians, Bobby Lee and Taran Killam are hired from, I was like, whoa. That is not my label, bro. And then like going with Bobby Lee to the Comedy Store, those are some of my first experiences like in a stand-up environment,
Wow. But you do consider, but you are a comedian.
Yes, now I've made peace and I go like, okay, I've earned some stripes with that.
Yeah. I think that's there is a weird line that I'll have this oftentimes with friends of mine who are comedic actors, where they'll go, and by the way, everything they've fucking done is a comedic acted performance, and they'll go, oh, dude, no, I'm not a comic, and it's like, no, you're a comedian. Right. You're not a stand-up comic, but you're a comedian, and they still won't take the label. They're like, no, I don't think so, man. That's different what you guys do. I'm like, no. You're a comedian.
I've heard Sasso do that more and more, where he's like, I'm an actor, and I'm like, yes, you are a talented actor, undeniably.
Yeah, sure.
But shunning and like my 13 episodes on MadTV, like Sasso was like my guardian angel, like
the man.
Best.
Yeah,
and that was the same year that the Tenacious D album came out.
Wow.
And we would go into his dressing room and he'd play the songs on guitar and we'd sing them. He's just one of my favorite people of all time.
Same. And killer calves, by the way. Best calves in the game.
Such just tight, strong, shaped calves.
Unbelievable.
Carved.
Yeah, it is
hard.
It is kind of like when you used to see statues
Yes.
of men's legs, and you were like, who has those legs?
And that size.
Sasso. That's actually him.
Yes.
That is legitimately
Yeah.
him. But yeah, no, you are a comedian, and also like that thing of like you are an actor, right? That's what your core is.
Yes.
Which is funny because I'm the opposite. I'm a comedian who loves to act. You know what I mean? Like I'm not in
and
the
are
world
very
of Broadway.
good at. I mean,
It's okay. It's okay.
You on Dave is one of my favorite performances in
thanks,
any
man.
show of recent years. Like that show surprised the hell out of me.
It surprised me too. We didn't think it was going to go. I legitimately was like, is this show going to be a fucking thing or not?
It's so good.
Well,
It's
I hope
really
the third season
special
doesn't
and
let you
good.
down. I'm going to call you the moment
Yes.
it airs and be like,
Yeah,
tell me
yeah,
what
yeah.
you think now
Yeah, great.
on one of these old phones like this, by the way. Not a cell phone.
No.
I'm going to get
See,
a...
that's the stand-up improv. Improv knows the space work.
That's actually right. No, but it was always a fear of mine. And this is something I want to ask you too, is like, you know, when you're a kid, some people are so comfortable being like, I want to be an actor. Or I want to be a singer. I want to be, and I was so scared of admitting it. Maybe it's because also where I came from, it was kind of that just wasn't our world in Chicago. We didn't know
Right.
anybody in the arts of any semblance.
Yeah.
I mean, literally nobody in my family has any sort of artistic.
Yeah.
No musicians. No, we have nothing. We have construction workers, cops.
Right.
There is no like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But they're the funniest on job site. That's for sure.
Yeah, of
They'll tell you
course.
that.
Yeah.
But for me, I couldn't admit for almost ever that I wanted to be a comedian or an actor. So I would just be like, I want to be in television somehow. And I lied.
Yeah.
And then finally, until I actually was like doing stand up on the regular when I moved here, that I admitted to my parents, I was like, you know, I'm doing stand up. And I was like, but if I have a job, I just kept a job. I was like, I have a job just so you know. Like, that's just it's, you know, it's what I love. But I mean, come on, it's fucking.
Yeah.
Like, did you admit right away when you were young that you knew you wanted to get in?
I think it's whatever pool you come from. I came from a pool that was like, you should do this before I even knew
So they were
what it was.
they were
Yeah.
very influential on being like, we need to get you a part of the theater as a kid.
Yeah, like a lot of tangential industry family members and stuff. Like my mom's uncle was Robert Stack, and so like from Unsolved
was just gonna
Mysteries
say,
and The Untouchables
Yeah.
and Airplane.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries.
Voice was incredible.
Yes, yeah, 1974
Wait, did you
in Montreal.
You did one? Somebody told me you did one.
I got my SAG card by being a reenactor on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah.
How old were
yeah.
you when you did it?
10 or 11, something like that.
For people that don't understand Unsolved Mysteries, I mean, for our generation, Unsolved
Yeah,
Mysteries
yeah.
was so wild. It was like so ominous
Yes.
and cool.
Yes.
And like, it, I don't,
But
the way,
but silly though too,
Yeah, it
right?
was.
It wasn't like what is it now that like Inside It or what Sunday? There's some
60 Minutes? Like that?
No, like that's more news. But there's people that do like true crime news reports.
Yeah.
That's like I found a head in the freezer.
I was
It
going to say the
wasn't-
podcast world of true crime now.
100%.
That's like what Unsolved Mysteries was.
Right. But this was more fun because sometimes it'd be aliens and
Right.
sometimes it would be, and they vanished, you know? It wasn't like so much like
They were never found again.
they had a trailer in the desert where he would torture and cut apart the bodies. And you're like, oh man, we know everything now.
Yeah, that's I don't get into that world.
Yeah.
Every woman I know, I don't know if your wife like
Yeah,
this.
right.
They love true crime stuff.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, do I not like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about killing
Yeah.
and like. Because they always say this, they'll go, and you won't believe what happened. You're like, no, I don't want to know.
I don't
want to know that his fingers were spread in every state in the United States. It
Totally.
grosses me out.
I think I had my phase, and I feel like it overlapped with Serial.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I got caught up in that pocket for sure.
Yeah.
And when Serial was out, we were invited to Thanksgiving out on Shelter Island, which is like east of Long Island.
Yeah.
And I drove the family, and I put like my ear pods in or whatever, and listened to most of it on that drive. And so now like all of Eastern Long Island is just good places to hide bodies. You know what I mean? Like that's all that the terrain represents.
Like, that's a good exit for a neck.
They would not find it right there. They would not find it in that thicket. That's a good thicket.
Good, thick thicket.
And no, but I'm with you now, and Parenthood certainly has informed this. Where like even Dahmer, people are like, you watching Dahmer? I'm like, I just can't live in that because I have the true privilege of not coming from that kind of trauma, drama, the need to fulfill that kind of.
I just don't. My
curiosity.
My childhood best friend went to Marquette. And every time, I mean, prior to the Dahmer, now the social zeitgeist of it all, back then, when I was a kid and hearing about him, he was this weirdo Midwest dude, and my best friend went to Marquette, and he would show me the places, because he was a legend.
Yeah.
People in Marquette would always talk about, because Dahmer's house was like right near there. It was right near Marquette's campus.
Yeah.
Wasn't too far away. And I remember him telling me about it, and me paying almost no mind to it, as if like, yeah, he's just some weirdo creepo killer, you know?
Yeah.
And then now cut to this year, he's like been like vetted as like one of the greatest serial killers.
He's so trending. He's so trending
It's
right
creepy,
now.
dude. Yeah, it's like he's becoming the hip. Like I guarantee you there's 1 million Dahmer costumes for Halloween. I know, and that's how it always goes every year. Like whatever's closest to Halloween that hits is what becomes the costume.
Yeah.
But
And you are taking the power away a little bit by trivializing it.
Yeah.
Like it's that balance. Are we glorifying or are we diminishing?
It's hard.
By making him a soap opera silly like character.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard.
it's tough to know, because also I'm sure the families are still like,
And that's come out a bunch
well,
from
it's
what
tough
I've
to
read.
see.
Isn't it?
That's gotta be tough to. Yeah, I
Yes.
heard the families that testified, because they used the real footage to mock them.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
I've heard the families are not
Yeah,
so keen.
Hey,
on that.
lighten up.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Hey,
What did you kill your
come
kid?
on.
Grow up. It's insane for people to be so passé about something that affected someone so deeply like that. But
Yeah.
you know, we're in a sick world. We're in a sick world.
I've noticed that.
Let's make it
come to
sweeter and
BC,
softer.
man.
Let's make it
come
sweeter
to
and
BC.
softer. Let's go to
Nothing
Canada.
bad ever happens in BC.
Oh my God! Cut to on the
Cut
news.
to
Yeah.
pig farmers who fed bodies to yeah.
I do
Yeah,
love
it's
Canada. I have an affinity for Canada. I've talked about it on the show because I played so much Canada over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and touring up there. What's wonderful is it's not that far from us, but sometimes you go to cities where they don't get a ton of entertainers to come through.
Yeah.
Vancouver's different, but when I'll go to Western Canada, a lot of times they're like, yeah, we only get a couple of acts a year of certain musicians, or sometimes we'll get comics, but not a lot of shit will come through, and they're so appreciative.
Yeah.
Which is so cool, because sometimes they go to these fucking cities in the United States and they couldn't care. They're acting like you're lucky that they came to your show.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is wild. You're like, I traveled to be here. I wanted to bring you the thing. And I think we have a lot of privilege if you live in a major metropolitan area specifically. That's why whenever you see a heckling video online, it's either from a big city of some, you know, it's a New York or Chicago or LA, or it's a small town where someone's on drugs and blacked out.
Yeah.
Well, they just can't. They're not speaking English, and they're like, just show us the shoe. And you're like,
Yeah.
lady, it's just, shut up, please.
Don't you think? I mean, I'm curious, but my suspicion is because there's so much access to everything all at once. Everybody, even dumb, you know, just like passive observer has become this critic.
Oh yeah.
And so emboldened with their voice, because everybody has a platform or a bullhorn in your
Totally.
whatever, that it's even easier now to shit on somebody stuff.
Oh yeah, and for them to see it. I mean, like,
Yes.
I know. I was gonna talk to you. By the way, the last time I was at the Rams game, I think you were like right near us.
Oh wow.
And I should have said hi, but
Yeah.
you were looking cute, and I got nervous,
Okay.
and I spilled my drink on my. But no, I know you're a big sports fan. I'm a big sports fan too, and it's just the amount of shit talking to athletes that they see these days is also really weird.
Yeah.
Because they'll interact with the shit.
Yeah.
Which is so creepy, because when you were a kid, sports writers were the only people that got into their heads a little bit.
Right.
And they would, by the way. They really would. You'd see some of these guys would fucking want to fight some of these writers. But now it's like Mark from Des Moines gets to say something, and one of these guys will respond. Like
Yeah.
Judy might tweet back at him. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy that there's that. It's way too close now.
It's exciting, and I mean the lesson that I hope a healthy person has learned, because like the year I got on SNL was the second or third year of Twitter, so it was, you know, I got a crash course in like you can't go to that for input, even though we all are narcissists and have this, you know, egomaniacal need for validation. You can't put weight in it for the bad or the good, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? And all of it, and the training that comes with that. And what I really admire about a lot of professional athletes, or, you know, or at least the coaching they get, is that you are used to that tough love criticism. You're used to that negative, like, you get it. You know, if your coach is a classic kind of coach, is like, you idiot,
Get your head out of your ass, number two.
Like, and that's love. That's encouragement.
Totally.
And the gear to block it all out, the gear to block out a stadium of people screaming while you shoot a free throw or kick a field goal or throw a touch or hit a home run. You know what I mean? Like, I use that as an example of like, okay, put the faith in your skill set and not in the feedback.
Totally.
And find the joy and benefit, especially for comedy, because it's so hard, find the joy in what made you laugh and stick by that and go like, no, that's funny to me. And you're not probably a very funny person anyway. And you know what I mean? So it's easier to dismiss more and more, but
it's still there. It's
still there, and it's still constant. It's the constantness of if you engage on social media, it's constantly there.
Like,
and that's
because your
tricky.
wife is also an entertainer, is like, is it easier because you guys can kind of talk about it together? Like,
That's helpful.
That helps to be like, shut off the bullshit noise and focus on family.
And she's an amazing, well-rounded human being who's like, I do this because the bosses told me to do it. I post on Instagram when Marvel says it's helpful or whatever.
I get it.
And the rest of the time she's like, none of this is real, which is nice, where I'm a little bit more like, man, it'd be cool if I posted something and got some likes and then an endorsement or what,
Yeah.
I'm less healthy. But certainly understanding each other's plights and helps us carry it. But she didn't start engaging in the same way. And also, like, SNL is such an immediate thing of like, I wrote some on Tuesday, you're seeing it on national television that Saturday.
Yeah.
Then to have a new tool, if you want to call it that, to then check in to see what people are saying about it immediately. In my opinion, only is unhelpful. It's dangerous. It's
if you're
a dangerous
on that
thing.
show, you should not be allowed on Twitter.
Yeah, truly.
And I think, like, there are people that do their best at shutting it out. Like, I think some people are really good at just being like, no, I'm just going to tune it out and not focus on it. But I'm not going to lie. Anybody that comes from our world of creating comedic content, it's so tough to not indulge. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because you get sucked into this world, especially if you see something like the funniest sketch. Dude, Taran had the funniest sketch I've ever seen in my life. And you're like, oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And right below it, it's like, Taran sucks ass.
Yeah. Retire
Quit
now.
everything and retire. Yeah. I didn't mean to write that, but I was in a.
That's all right. You know what? But there was truth to it.
Yeah.
There was constructive criticism in there, and I took it.
I just had to say it, dude. I'm sorry, man.
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Rabbit Hole Distillery and their one-of-a-kind Kentucky bourbon and rye whiskeys. I love these folks over at Rabbit Hole. Each of their bourbons are made from distinct one-of-a-kind recipes using specially malted grains you're not going to find anywhere else. You can look, but you can't find them. They're small batch. A lot of people say they're small batch. They ain't. That could be up to 1,000 barrels. These folks are doing 15 barrels or less. So the quality is there in every single bottle that you pick up from your home. High Gold is what I've been drinking recently, and I love it so very much. This is their old school Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, baby. They got 4 distinct whiskey expressions that I feature on the show. They've got the Cave Hill 4-grain triple malt. This is the High Gold, of course, the Boxer Grail Sour Mash Rye, which I've been dipping my toes in because I used to not be a rye guy. But I am now. And also the Derringer, the sherry finished bourbon, finished in them sherry casks, is so good, so delicious. Here's my big thing about Rabbit Hole. They love me and I love them, A. And B, it's actually quality jazz. I'm not going to put some stuff on the show that isn't quality. I really believe in these people. I think they make really good stuff. It's good sauce. And I like stuff straight from Kentucky. And this is where they do it, down in the Kentucky bourbon run. So jump down the rabbit hole with me. Go pick yourself up a bottle. I promise you are going to love it. Go to rabbitholedistillery.com/drizzly, rabbitholedistillery.com/drizzly. Use the promo code RABBIT for $5 off your first order, or go to rabbitholedistillery.com. Just check out the map where you can buy this stuff in your local area. It is sold everywhere. So pick yourself up a bottle of Rabbit Hole, drink it responsibly, jump down that hole with me, baby. Hey, did you know over the holidays, property crimes, burglaries, package theft spiked nationally? That's right, it's a bummer, but that's why our friends over at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system. That's half off. What else do you want? Half of it's for free? It's pretty surprising, man. Order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy that advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. I want to tell you why I like it. They sent me a big old box, and they were like, go ahead, see if you can do it. Could do it. Very easy for old stupid Andrew to figure out. It was pretty incredible. They have an entire whole home security system. They get advanced sensors for every single room, for your windows and your doors. They got HD security cameras. And I know sometimes they say HD, but it always looks like a fuzzy GoPro footage for some reason. These are high quality cameras, and you can see exactly what's going on, both inside and outside your house. I caught myself a raccoon pooping on my roof for the 50th time. What am I going to do about it? I don't know, but at least I know, and keeping myself safe and my family safe is important. They got hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs under $1 a day, less than half of the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With that top-rated SimpliSafe app, you can stay in complete control from the comfort of your mobile phone, anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust all of your system settings right there in the palm of your hand. So I'm telling you, you want to feel safe. Not just now for the holidays, but for the rest of your life, for yourself and your family, or whomever you got sitting around your crib when you are or are not there. Don't miss your chance for massive savings on my favorite security system. Get 50% off any new system. That's 50, half off any new system at simplisafe.com/whiskey, simplisafe.com/whiskey. This is their biggest discount of the year. That's simplisafe.com/whiskey. There is no safe like SimpliSafe.
Ginger. I like gingers.
And
Which is, I didn't mean to write that, but I was in a.
that's all right. You know what? But there was truth to it. There was constructive criticism in there, and I took it.
I just had to say it, dude. I'm sorry, man.
But I mean, playing devil's advocate, I have found value in going like, a lot of people said they liked this, and a lot of people said they hated this, and not too many people chimed in going, good job. So I don't know. That's where it gets so fishy of
It's
like,
shaky.
How do you find the constructive value in knowing like, okay, the mass perception from this moment that I participated in seems to be overwhelmingly negative or overwhelmingly positive, and how do I better myself as a professional creator moving forward based off of that intel?
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna kiss your ring a little bit, real fast. I will say, from an outside, not knowing you when I did see you on that show, it was interesting because you always kind of create these false opinions about people that are on that show, particularly because you don't know who they are as people. But you construct it based solely on kind of what they come up with comedically or where they're put comedically on the show, which is funny because you guys are stereotyped whether you know it or not. You know what I mean? And we all are. I mean, I am too, but like, it's funny because that show is so particular about the way it positions and places people, part of the politics of that show. But you were always one of those guys where I had heard stories about you over the years, about your process in getting the show, and also like, kind of your output, so to speak, which your contribution, like you would always also seem like a consummate like producer. You were always like putting stuff out or trying or writing or pushing. You never seemed like someone who was like, write for me. Just put it together and I'll see if you did visually, I might be wrong, but it seemed from an outside like you were doing a fuckload, like as much as you could to get yourself in a good sketch, in a good bit. And I wonder when I saw that, if I'm like, is there ever stuff that you really wanted on there that was so good, but it never went? Like, was there shit sometimes where you're like, is there a sketch that sticks out that you were like, I know this would have been fucking huge and they never let me put it on the show?
Not fucking huge, because I don't have that gear for myself.
Sure.
I have more like, I wish that had been produced so the world could see into my brain.
What is that? What's the one? Is there one that sticks out?
There's one. There's a couple. There was one that like, and I did get some validation because there was a sketch that actually made it to dress, and the cue card guys loved it. And that's like
huge.
Sometimes that's all. Sometimes that's better than anything else.
Right.
And it was really dumb, and it was a sketch that I'd done at Groundlings, and then it got changed a little bit for SNL in a way that like I didn't love, but it still had the core and the heart of it. And it was there's that song "One Night in Bangkok."
Yeah.
Bangkok, Oriental City, but the city don't know. And the singer is Murray Head, and it's like a really weird sounding song because it's not a real melody.
It's
like,
one night in
"Talks-
Bangkok makes the world
man under." Yeah, exactly.
It feels like it was supposed to be in an Eddie Murphy movie, and it never made it.
Correct, and it's from a musical. It's from Chess. This musical. It's a weird song, and it made me laugh. And so I pitched that Murray Head, that guy did at one point get his own late night talk show. But the reason he sounds like that is because that's just how he talks. And they built the song around him.
Okay.
So when he's interviewing people, he would always just say, "How are you doing? I love this series, Dave. I'm looking forward to the 3rd season." And then a chorus of people would sing like interludes. And it was really stupid. But it really tickled me. And the Cue Card guys loved that. There was another one that
made to dress, but didn't go.
Made it to dress, and we kind of changed it. Like before, it was like one of those things where the guest was someone very famous, And I think because What Up With That had already existed, they're like, you can't have real people going, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And you going like, "But I was doing this at Groundlings before that." They're like, "Okay, great, good for you." So like we made the host a fun character, and it just was hats on hats a little bit. But that one brought me joy. There was a sketch we wrote. And the first time we wrote it was the week Trump hosted. And we just tried to write a sketch where he had to be in it as little as possible. So it was for like a downtown Vegas show called Silas King of the Snakes. And the whole show was like a Cirque style musical number. There was like Silas King of the Snakes. And it was a 3.5 minute introduction song with like pyrotechnics and acrobats and dancing and telling you all the things you're going to see, all the amazing things Silas can do, the way he's hypnotized snakes, where he's traveled to the darkest jungles. And the door opens and it was going to be the host and be like, "I forgot the snakes." And the door closes at the end. That's the end of the sketch.
It was supposed to be Trump to do that?
And it was going to be Trump.
I forgot the snakes.
I forgot the snakes. And that was the
that
end.
would have crushed.
And it did very well at the table and didn't get picked. And then when Larry David hosted, we tried it and it went to dress, but then you don't want to waste Larry David, you know what I mean? So it changed its DNA.
So good with Trump.
It could have been fun. Yeah. That one brought me joy.
That's one of those where I see it in my brain and I'm like, oh, it's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've told the story on the show, but I just want to tell you it because I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but when I first moved to Los Angeles, I'm going to give the quickest version. There used to be a Coffee Bean across from the mall on like 3rd and La Cienega. And now it's leveled. The street is leveled still. They haven't built anything there. But next door used to be a Barnes & Noble. Then it was a PetSmart. Now it's nothing. But it was a Coffee Bean and a Barnes & Noble. And I was in there late at night writing with this friend of mine who was trying to do sketch. And I was wanting to do improv. And we were writing a bit together. And in walks Norm Macdonald. And he walked by us and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And this girl was very pretty and I am not. And so he's talking to exclusively her the whole time. Like, and we're just two young kids sitting there by where you pick up your coffee. And there's like nobody in there. And it was, I was like looking around like, am I in a fucking prank show? Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, what is that?" And she's like, "We're writing a sketch." And he's like, "I know a thing or two about sketches." and she was like, "Uh-huh." And he goes, I'm gonna go get the Steinbeck novel. I'll come back. And I'm laughing. Yes. And he legitimately, after he leaves, we're like, how fucking cool is that, man? Yeah. He comes back with a fucking Steinbeck novel. I swear to God, he bought it from Barnes & Noble, comes back with it, and I was like, holy shit. And he sits down next to it. Well, he stood for a while, which was kind of wild. He stood next to us and was just kind of hovering over her shoulder, talking to both of us about comedy and what we want to do. And he was just, I don't know, he was just having fun. And then he finally sat down and he started kind of just vomiting stories of us. It was, we didn't ask much. Yeah. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because it was about a sketch that never was supposed to be. And it was Brian Fellows. Do you know about that story about this?
No.
So him and this is my, abridged account from what I remember him saying because I was fucking fascinated. Yeah. But he had said that, I think him and Smigel wrote it, I believe. I think, if I'm wrong, sorry. But anyway, they were having a tough time getting this other sketch through. And long story short, Lauren was kind of clipping at him a little bit about like the few things he delivered nothing was hitting.
Yeah.
And Smigel was kind of annoyed, and they had joked sweetly about that Tracy didn't like reading in front of people, like hated the reads, and he would have someone there sometimes, like I think also because it was maybe anxiety inducing to read in front of people, but he liked the performative aspect. So Smigel was like, as a joke, had said something to the effect of, we should write that bullshit, safari guy show where he's flamboyant and confusing and make it filled with S's at the beginning. Like Brian Fellows is a safari planet. So it would be like this, like, performative, like big shit. Like, I'm Brian Fellows, like this whole thing. And they wrote it kind of as like a fuck you a little bit, being like, here, you want a shitty fucking, we'll give you a shitty script because you didn't like the other 3 things I gave you. And sure enough, he's like, Tracy I'm not going to do the impression of Norm then, but in a way, he was just like, oh, Tracy couldn't have hit the ball further out of the fucking park. Like, it destroyed.
Yes.
And they were both like, well, holy fuck, is this going to go? And he's like, then they dressed it. And then it was like, holy shit, it's going to be. And then it became,
probably Tracy's biggest.
Yeah, I would argue
sketch.
one of the biggest he ever did. And
it
was like, Norm was saying that was it was kind of a fuck off.
Yeah.
Calling back to what we talked about. It was almost like, it was funny because they were laughing about how insane it was, and it was small, and they threw it together, and it was like, here, this is fucking ridiculous. You're never going to let it go.
Yeah.
And it, for some reason, became that thing. But when he told it, I thought, I wonder how many of those could have also been in the vault.
Yeah.
Because you're not overthinking that. You're like, oh, that's so funny about the shoe thing, but we don't do that thing,
Well, a great example of those then succeeding is I Think You Should Leave, is Tim and Zach's show.
Yeah.
Because, and not all of them by any means, but I would say, 1 or 2 every episode or so, certainly in the first season, were like, oh, I saw these at the table, and they killed, and then we're not given the chance. I mean, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile was written for SNL.
Oh,
and
was
thank
Dan
goodness.
Flashes, was that an SNL bit?
I don't.
That's the
think
loud
so.
shirt guy. That's the louder
Tuggers? Or
no. The louder the shirt, the more expensive it is.
No.
Because when I saw that, I was like, that would have been a great SNL sketch of guys with super loud shirts.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a $7,000 shirt. Do you see how intricate it is? I thought that was so brilliant.
It kills me.
Yeah,
that first episode of season 2 with the prank and the prosthetics and I don't want to be here. But more than that, the ghost tour. I don't know that there's a sketch in the last decade that I've gone back to watch more and more.
The ghost
because
tour
it's
was
like
so
pure
Tim.
He is the funniest.
Yeah.
And has always been the funniest.
Yeah.
And to see it recognized in that way.
It was huge.
Awesome.
The prosthetics, I know we're just sitting here talking about another show, but I got to tell you, I cried when you see his head down and he goes, I don't want to do it anymore.
I don't want to be here anymore. You mean like you don't want to be alive?
And he goes,
because of the prank?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
We did too much. We did too much stuff.
We did too much stuff. I'm wearing too much stuff. And
now
it looks
go over and grab
insane.
that person's tray.
If you haven't seen the show,
I Think You Should Leave. Then
I think you should leave. It's it's so good.
Yes.
But anyway, that always gives me like, it always gives me that comedian bridge that we have, of like, I know what that feels like to want the thing and it doesn't go, or to pitch. It's almost like whenever I do, we throw a lot out against the wall on Dave, and a lot of times, some of my favorite shit will not get into the thing, but there's a few of us that are like, I really love that, man. We really should fucking do that.
Yeah.
And it falls through this weird production crack of like, it's just not going to work and the thing. And you're like, but it's so fun.
Yeah.
Why can't we show the people the fun thing?
Yeah.
But also sometimes your creative brain sees it in a way because you're in the machine, in the vacuum, that sometimes it may not work on the outside.
Relate.
And I don't have a good barometer for that.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I'll do things. I'm like, I can't believe people didn't like that. People are like, they don't get it. Or it doesn't really register.
Yeah.
It's inside. But other comedians are like, I like it, which is the sick part of stand-up. You'll have comics in the back that be like, that joke is great. How do they not like that joke?
I mean, anytime I was at the Comedy Store and Brody Stevens was performing, like
The best.
The best.
Yeah.
Like just unequivocally the
Yeah.
best, and only times I'd see every comedian in the building flock.
Yeah, everyone would want to watch. I mean, the funniest part about, or the best described version of Brody was Galifianakis said, he's not a comedian, he's a jock that does performance art. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. Because he is. He was this larger-than-life, physical valley boy, baseball god
Yes.
who loved performative, absurdist, art.
Yeah.
That was his... He was fucking fun. No one's better at drumming on a seat. Nobody was better at fucking drumming
Just
on a seat.
even like that, like it was shocking to me that it never connected. And I didn't know him as well, and then having conversations with people who knew him better, like I think that there were different gears of self-sabotage, maybe.
Yeah.
But I was always shocked because I anytime there was a chance to, I'd go out of my way to see him perform. He's just one of those performers.
Yeah.
And it was his rhythm, right? There's a musicality to a stand-up performer where you go like, everybody is, Seinfeld's like, what's the deal? Like there, and his rhythm
Yeah.
was wholly original.
Yeah, it was.
Like incredibly unique and so catchy and so fun. We're talking, we're laughing, energy.
Yes!
Dictate, respond, good.
You
I'm like,
go,
God damn.
Arms crossed, negative energy. It was such a perfect beat. The way, yeah, it's
Yes.
almost like it was always waves.
Yeah.
Take my mom out to dinner. I can pay half. So good. He is. He is. He was a good. He was a
Yeah.
great. He was a great dude. And
Yes.
I'm sad he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your socks, by the way, and I keep staring down. What's on them?
We got Dragons and Flames here.
Yeah, you're a big comic book guy. Are you?
I enjoy comic books very much.
You're a comic
yes.
book guy.
Yeah.
Do you still
I
do
am.
it now?
Not on a weekly issue basis, but like there'll be a title that I'll seek out. Like they've done these Superman 77, Batman 89. Do you know this?
Dude,
Where
I
you don't know even in the thing.
I can't
Okay.
believe I never.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when I was a kid, baseball cards, massive. I was obsessed,
Yeah.
like creepy obsessed.
Yes.
And then
Do you still have your collection? Do you still have your
everything is at
stock?
my mother's house. I don't
Okay.
think they cleaned out my old room one time.
Yeah.
And I went home and I bought a gun and I put it to my dad's head and I said to my mom, if you throw any of that shit out, he's gone. And
Yeah,
she
yeah,
just
yeah.
started to throw it away. She's like, do it. Do it. No, but I told him, I was like, please just throw that shit in a big Tupperware bin.
Yeah.
And put it in the basement and I will get it.
Yes.
Please just throw it all in there. I'll figure all of it out. I don't think I'm ever going to do anything with it other than be that old weirdo with my kid one day who's like, yeah, this Sean Kemp was worth $19 at one point,
Yeah.
what, this is the Rain Man. But
Yeah.
but I don't know if I'll ever have anything. But when I was a kid, trading them.
So fun.
Oh yeah, but valuing them like the Beckett's.
Yes.
Even scrolling my little tiny dirty fingers on those
Yeah.
Beckett's and being like $4.87. We
Yeah.
bought it for 16 cents. That's
that
huge.
smell of that newspaper page in
love.
them too. Yeah,
Fresh printed and
huge,
stamped.
Huge.
So, but do they have Beckett's for comic books too, or no? That
I'm
kind
sure they
of thing?
do. I was more into the Beckett than the pricing for baseball cards than
yeah.
the comics. I just like the stories, the visuals, the sort of the
You weren't a
myths
co-
of
you
it.
weren't a collectible-
I've never been like a cardboard backing kind of guy. That kind of came later. Where I was like, it'd be cool to own that issue, that first appearance of Gambit. Would be cool.
Do you have one that's like absurdly rare or expensive?
No,
You don't have that.
does not. No, but a Chicago-related story.
Give it.
First Little League team that wasn't T-ball, like first true like kids pitch Little League team, the Cubs. Played second base. My dad is our coach. Is like best player on the Cubs is in second base, Ryan Sandberg.
That's right.
And I am probably, this is 89, something like that, 88, 89.
88, 89, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's my favorite player ever then. And
So
like
Ryan Sandberg is it for you?
stuck to it and have over the years collected every rookie card of his that I can find.
Wow.
So I have something like 8 or 9 different Ryan Sandberg rookie cards. Wow. Loved it. Loved the Cubs. Had never been to a game in Wrigley Field. Had never spent time in Chicago, despite a vast majority of my favorite people being from there. And then 3 years ago was asked to officiate a wedding in Chicago. So Kobe and I went. We arrived. We went to the welcome dinner. We're like, hey, we're so excited. This is going to be awesome. I dragged her to Second City. I was like, we have to be in that space. I have to see a show there. We did.
Totally.
It was amazing. It was shocking to see like what a business it is. You know what I mean? Like that whole facility, like walked by Steppenwolf and like, this is the best. We did the wedding the next day. It was so fun. The following day, she had been on a show with Jake Johnson, and he's like, "Oh, you're going? Yeah, I'll send you to Wrigley." And so got us the hookup of all hookups. We sat like, right in front.
Awesome.
And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, this is crazy. We went early because I was like, I really want to take in the neighborhood. I want to do the thing. I want to see Clark Street. I want to do it all. I want to see the bleachers and people's, townhomes and stuff. And we get there, and I'm telling the guy who's giving us a tour the story that I started with. And he's like, "Oh, Ryan's here. Ryan, you want to meet him?" And I was like, please, please. And I think like his daughter was with him or something. And there's that generational thing where like she knew like, oh, these are people on TV.
Yes.
And dad like doesn't give two shits. But
Dad used to be baseball.
yeah. I got a picture on the third baseline with Ryan Sandberg.
Jesus.
Cubs won the game.
Wow.
Kobe and I walked from Wrigley down Clark Street all the way back to the river.
Oh,
all
wow.
the way downtown.
That's
just
a good-
like
that's
took
a hike.
it in.
That's a hike.
It was,
a good walk.
The feet were sore, but like it was everything I wanted Chicago to be and more.
Wow. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, by the way, I loved Ryan Sandberg. Mark Grace, partial to Mark for some reason.
Love
Mark Grace.
Mark too.
But when I was a kid, it took me many years to realize his name wasn't Ryan. Because Ryan,
yes.
When you hear Ryan Sandberg, you go, yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
And then when you started when I got baseball cards is when I realized it's Ryan Sandberg.
Yeah.
Which a piece of me goes, was this an accident in the hospital? That
Dad was just like, I got a boy, his name's Ryan.
And then like, sir, spell that? And he's like, you don't know how to spell Ryan. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Because it just seems so odd, and never in my life have I seen it ever
Another
spelled.
Ryne. Yeah.
Ryan is so off.
Yeah.
But you got to soaking that up is...
He was the best.
But you're a
He was the
Dodger
best.
guy? Are you a Dodger guy?
Yeah, casually. I'm not a huge baseball guy now.
Me and you are going to go to a game. I'm going to change your
Let's
mind.
do it. Let's do it, please.
Because
football is my thing.
I know.
Football is my...
I love it too.
That's my... Yeah.
Baseball, man.
Yeah.
Baseball
There's
is
so much of it. I think I'm overwhelmed by the
I get that.
quantity.
Too many games.
Being an LA guy, we're on the west side too.
Mm-hmm.
You may as well fly to Chicago to see a game at Wrigley versus drive to Echo Park.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
That's true. It is tough, but also we're going to go.
Okay, great.
And we're going to have a drink.
Yes, please.
And I'm going to show you that you don't need to be there to be there. That's my favorite phrase. You kind of need to just live in the thing, and we'll talk a lot of shit, and we'll throw something at a man.
Yeah, great.
We'll get kicked out.
Okay.
We'll get into a fight in the parking lot over you saying, "Why would you throw that?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's fun," and you're like, "It's not fucking fun," and that'll be the end of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we'll do.
And then
it.
I'll be a baseball person.
And that is how I became a baseball person. We'll do it. I would
love
hold
it.
you to it.
I would love it.
Full
sincerity.
I want to say thank you for coming here today. This means a lot to me.
you.
I think you're wonderful. I think we
back at you.
blossomed something. I'm gonna make sure you're gonna get some sauce if you go down and see my boy.
I'll take some sauce.
And we end the show the same way. You look in that camera right there, and you say one word or one phrase that ends the episode. It's going to be embedded forever in the history of the episode. It's probably at some point going to be in the Smithsonian. That's how I view it. I think it'll be locked up forever as the last word or phrase.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
This wart had great return value. We're at about 8.5%.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.